How do, and welcome back. I'm just enjoying one of my 00 beers. It's Tuesday, 1st of March, and I'm keeping to my diet, and that means I don't drink during the week, so I'm enjoying this one. Right, I thought I'd make a video just to let you know what's coming up in March. I've got quite a few things actually, and I thought I'd just let you know what you can expect to watch. First of all, I'm thinking of starting a new series. I already have a little series where I look at the Woodford breweries beers and brew the kits and compare them. But that's going to finish in a few months, because I think I've only got 2 or 3 more of those to review. So I thought of a new series, and one of the things in the UK is that you can go into the big supermarkets and you can go to the beer aisle and you can find beers from all over the world, either imported or brewed under license here, but they range from Canada right over to Japan and everywhere else in between. You can get beers from China, Southeast Asia, India, obviously Europe, America, Canada. But you can't get beers from the Southern Hemisphere. They're all north of the equator, and I don't know why, because there's loads of beers in the Southern Hemisphere and I'd like to try them. So I might start a little series where we explore the beers from the Southern Hemisphere, so like Chilean beers, Argentinian, South African, Australian, New Zealand, with all those New Zealand New World hops. And you can buy them, but you've got to go online and you've got to buy them from importers. They are a little bit expensive, so I don't know if it will be a monthly series or if it will be once every 2 or so months. Because the first one that I've bought is a 6-pack of VB, which is, I think, the second best-selling beer in Australia, just below Colton Draft. And I was thinking of buying Colton Draft, but I've always been interested in VB. It seems to have a bit of a cult status in Australia. Certainly the adverts, I think, have got a cult status. And it's a beer I've heard a lot about, because I'll watch a lot of YouTube beer reviewers from Australia and homebrewers as well. And so I thought I'd start with Victoria Bitter, which is actually a lager. So I've bought a 6-pack. It wasn't all that cheap. It was £13, I think, or just over, for the 6 375ml cans. So just over £2 per can. And I thought I'd do a taste test and maybe kickstart this new series where I try commercial beers from the Southern Hemisphere and maybe make some clones of them as well. So that's probably going to come up in the next video, because I'm expecting it in a day or 2. Also, I've got another commercial beer review, which is the Woodfords Nelson's Bitter. Now, this used to be Nelson's Revenge, but they must have rebranded it to just Nelson's Bitter. So I got 8 bottles from the Woodfords website, and of course I bought the corresponding kit. And so I'll do a taste test of Nelson's Bitter, I'll brew the kit, and then next month in April I'll do a side-by-side comparison like I did with the Wherry, and we'll see just how close it is. March's side-by-side though is the Nog, and that's just ready for bottling now, and then I'll leave it a couple of weeks, let it carb up, a little bit of conditioning, and then again, as with the Wherry, we'll sit down and do a taste test, the commercial versus the homebrew, and we'll see how close they actually are. If it's anything like that Wherry, it's pretty much the same beer. I was really impressed with the Wherry, so much so I've gone out and bought myself another kit. That was a really nice beer. So it's the Woodfords Nog that we're going to be doing a side-by-side comparison of in March, and I'm really looking forward to that, because although I think it's easier to brew darker beers, that Nog was a lovely beer. It had a really nice balance between some sweetness, but that really nice roasty flavour and a little bit of that charness, and that's what I'm interested in. Have they able to recreate that chariness of the commercial beer? So I'm looking forward to that one. Also, I'm going to be tasting my Brewdog inspired beer. So, and I'm interested in this for two reasons. It was inspired from a beer they produce called AB20, which they call a barley wine, and then they mix it or blend it with a stout that's been aged in rum casks. Now, I don't have any rum casks and I don't have any stout, so I've just made the recipe, the barley wine version, but I changed it a little bit. I didn't copy it, I just took inspiration from it, and mine's turned out more of like a brown ale. But this is the first brew where I've used coffee grains in the actual kettle, and I used 100 grams of coffee. So that's going to be, I'm looking forward to trying that one. And also it's the first beer where I've racked into a pressure barrel rather than my bottles. I racked into a pressure barrel, and I've never used a pressure barrel before, so it's the first time. I have had a little sneaky taste, but it wasn't much because I haven't quite figured out how to work the tap. And what I ended up with is a glass with about this much beer and this much head. Although it was a lovely head, really thick and creamy. So I'm looking forward to the Brewdog inspired beer for those two reasons: the coffee and just this keg-like beer, cask-like beer rather, with that nice thick creamy head from the pressure barrel. So that's coming up. And then finally the extract beer for March. The Brewdog was my extract from February. The extract from March, I'm not yet decided, but as it is March and spring's just around the corner, I'm looking for a light beer, maybe something like a pale ale or a blonde ale. And I have seen a recipe in this clone book, which looks quite interesting, if I can remember what it was called. There it is, Checker Cab Blonde Ale. This is from the Chelsea Brewing Company in New York. Now, they call it a blonde ale, but the actual style guide is a Kolsch. And I thought, Kolsch, that's nice. I haven't brewed one for a while. And now that we're hopefully approaching the warmer days, I'd like a Kolsch. So I might do that one, to be honest. It's looking the most hopeful at the moment. But yeah, it's going to be something a little bit lighter, because the last one, that Brewdog, it's a bit heavy with all that coffee in it, and those roasty, toasty, double roasted crystal malts. I wanted something a little bit lighter for spring, so maybe the Checker Cab Blonde Ale from my clone book is the way to go. So that's coming up in March. The potentially new series of southern hemisphere beers, starting off with the Victoria bitter, tasting the Nelson's bitter, doing my side-by-side comparison of the Woodfords Nog, that's the kit versus the homebrew, and also my Brewdog inspired beer, as well as maybe just making videos with me chatting like this. One of the things I have thought about actually is this book. It's great. It's an extract brewing book, or a partial mash book, because you're using specialty malts as well, but it also gives all the measurements and weights for mini mashes and all grain. Now, because I've decided to lose some weight and cut down on my drinking, I'm only going to be doing these half boils, half batches, what I call my 20 bottle brews, because I'm only looking at bottling about 10 litres. That means that I don't need more than maybe 15 or 18 litres to start with. And I'm thinking I can use my kettle to do a brew in a bag. So I could actually do an all grain brew in that kettle, rather than having a big kettle. And I've done this, and you've got 27 litres, and it takes forever to warm up. It takes forever to get to your strike temperature for your mash and all of this mashing temperature. It takes ages then to get that up to a boil before you start adding your hops. You waste more time, I think, actually waiting for the thing to warm up than you do actually brewing. But as I'm only going to be using probably about 15 litres, and then when it boils, I'll probably be left with about 12 litres, I'm thinking. It won't take long at all to boil up. I can boil in that, I think, 10 or 12 litres in about 20 minutes. So that's good going. So I could save time. It's not going to be like all grain. It's like a 5-hour job. I bet I could probably cut that down quite significantly, because I'm just using half the volume. So not in March, not this month, but maybe in a couple of months' time, I might consider doing an all grain, or at least a mini mash beer, and that'll be interesting. See how it fares in my little brew kettle. Anyway, so that's it. That's what's coming up in March. So lots to look forward to. Right, I'm going to enjoy this. It's a nice sunny day today, and it hasn't been sunny for a while, so I may go and do some work outside and clean the drive. After the storms that we've had, it needs a bit of a clean. So thanks for watching. It's been a pleasure, and as always, I'll see you again in the next video. Bye bye for now.